Convention of the National Association of the Midnight Basketball League. At this time, I want to bring to you the founder, the president, the one and only, Mr. G. Van Standiford.
Good morning. I'm going to be brief this morning because there are so many things that we want to cover that already I'm worrying about running out of time. My pleasure at seeing all of you here today is exceeded only by my gratitude to the Beer Institute for making it possible. I wish that I could tell you that the concept and goals of midnight basketball are no longer needed, that young adults that are no longer dropping out of school, and that each graduate is fully capable of either going on to a higher level of education or entering the high-tech job market. I wish that I could tell you that the drug culture has gone away, the killings have stopped, and everybody has a job. Unfortunately, if I told you any of these things, it would be wishful thinking on my part. So the concepts and goals of the Midnight Basketball League are still valid. The national organization is growing at a fantastic rate. As of today, we are 36 cities strong. It is the responsibility of the association to build a structure that can accommodate this growth. It is the task of the association to set into place a uniform national network in order that we will be attractive to national corporate sponsors. In the meantime, if you are having trouble getting your program off the ground, it probably means that you must do a better job in unifying your community. Civic groups, churches, school board, Chamber of Commerce, police department, recreation department, public housing, mayor and council, and local businesses. You need them all. The success of your program will be determined by the extent to which you unite at least some of these groups. It is the concept of the public-private partnership that everybody give up a little something. We knew from the beginning that there would never be enough tax dollars for a program like this. Every year at budget time, when they start looking around for programs to cut, guess who would be cut to the bone? But why should a community unite for midnight basketball? The young adults whom we have targeted, 17 to 25, school dropouts and jobless, have traditionally been written off by society. Nobody really cares. Add the drug culture to this group and the impact is devastating. But keep in mind that not all of these young adults are bad. Many of them are on the fence and would like to be a productive part of the community. We just have to show them how. But we must move with a sense of urgency. The slightest spark could set off a chain reaction similar to what we have seen in the past few weeks. I'll be honest with you, I don't know which I hate the most, a denial of justice or rioting and looting. In any event, we must continue to try to get those young adults who are on the fence to come back into the community as constructive individuals. We must act as a pressure relief valve. If we don't, who will? But in the final analysis, and it doesn't matter who you are, in the final analysis, ladies and gentlemen, lest we forget, these are all our children.
Ten to 2. We want every game to start at 10 o'clock. Okay? All we're saying is making arbitrary changes in a particular program, okay, is not going to help anyone. Now, my thing is, a national association, we've got to be about finding some money. Now, we're going to get into fundraising in just a little bit, but once the National Association has been strengthened and we're making some money, then we'll be able to enforce the rules and regulations and guidelines, because there are all type of copycat programs that are shooting up all over the country, okay? I just heard yesterday that, right before I got here, that in Little Rock, Arkansas, Governor Clinton's right there, Midnight Basketball League, and we ain't got nothing down here from Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay? Now, Mr. Van Standiford taught me well. You call me, I'm going to send the information out. Okay? I'm going to send it to you and share what he shared with me. I mean, that's my role. That's what I'm here to do. But again, as I told most of you, and I talked to, I think, almost all of you in here prior to you getting your program started, and that is that you got to send some information to Mr. Van Standiford so you can sign that letter of agreement. That's the way it goes. And Little Rock hasn't done that, but they will hear from us. You see, this Midnight Basketball League logo, okay, is a national trademark. It cannot be changed. It cannot be altered. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, if you will, and a lot of wisdom that went into establishing that. And we're not going to compromise the integrity of the program for sure, and the effort that we're trying to do. The Midnight Basketball League is becoming a household word. It's known throughout the country, all over the world. And we're going to make sure that our product is intact. Uniform National Network. Mr. Van Standiford, you have any input on that before I move on?
We keep saying this over and over, but it's very important. As you know, the purpose of the association is we're going to try to get funds that we can distribute to local programs. Now, in order to do that, we have to be able to sell what we are doing, number one, to national corporate sponsors. And it sends them a fuzzy message if we got different people doing different programs, doing different things. So in the trademark license agreement, it does two things. One is it does protect the trademark, but more importantly, it establishes those parameters that make us a uniform national network. So that is very important. People always want to change it. You know, a parent that has a 15 or 16-year-old wants us to drop the age group if they're having trouble with the 15 or 16-year-old. A recreation department head who has been convinced that 2 a.m. is just not convenient for somebody. You know, we have to resist all of these changes. They're doing, the one thing they're not doing is thinking about the plight of the young people who are the targets of the program. If we could get everybody to concentrate on that, it would be no problem, but they won't do it. But that's why the Uniform National Network is so important. I just wanted to reemphasize that. Yes.
Now, some of the committees that I've been talking to were interested in asking me questions, and at this point, about what about the women between those ages, or what about those ages that you are talking about, the older men? Is that ever something that's going to
it's not that we feel that there are a lot of age groups that need help. We know that. We know that young ladies, there's a lot of young ladies that we need a program for young ladies. We don't deny that. The point is, you can't make one program do too many things. Right. If you try to do too many things, you end up not doing anything. So that's another reason for the Uniform National Network, and that's why we resist people continuously trying to change it.
Legislation. Just very quickly, just by reading a couple letters and give you an update on where we are. Thank you for your strong testimony before the Select Committee on Children, Youth, and Families as part of our hearing, The Risky Business of Adolescence, How to Help Teens Stay Safe. Several members of Congress have mentioned how much they profited from hearing about the success of the Midnight Basketball League. Your testimony has inspired Congresswoman Schroeder to pursue establishment of midnight basketball programs in other cities. In fact, we are currently drafting a bill that will provide funds for such programs in settings that would be eligible for the funds that would become potentially available to programs like yours as of this fall. It goes on to say the Midnight Basketball League model is a constructive way to keep our youth off the street, out of trouble, and growing towards independence. You have created an excellent program, and we wish the best of luck in expanding it. This came from Representative Schroeder. Okay? They went on to put together a bill that was, with Mr. Van Standifer's input, as well as some of my own, they came up with the Midnight Basketball League Training and Partnership Act. This bill amends Section 520 of the Cranston-Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act to authorize grants to public and private non-profit entities willing to work in partnership with local financial supporters from the private sector to establish midnight basketball leagues. The program description, very briefly, league games are to be held between hours of 10 to 2 a.m. because they are peak hours of juvenile crime. Players in the league are required to attend various educational and job skill classes after each game. To complement funding already available to inner city, urban areas, these funds will be directed largely to suburban and rural communities. Target communities are those who face substantial illegal drug problem, a high level of crime involving young adults, high rates of HIV or other sexually transmitted diseases, high teen pregnancy or birth rates among adolescents, and high unemployment and dropout rates for youth and young adults. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development shall allocate grants totaling $2.5 million for fiscal year 92 and for 93 to carry out midnight basketball league programs. Grant amounts will average $100,000. There's a technical assistance grant. 2 grants of $100,000 each will be awarded for technical assistance in the establishment and operation of leagues. An additional $250,000 will be allocated for a formal evaluation of the impact of midnight basketball leagues on youth crime and other problems. This bill passed the House, went through Congress, and was sitting on the President's desk for signature. As we understand from this particular point, the President has had some problems with the total Cranston-Gonzalez, with the omnibus crime bill. He's had some problems with that. And until he resolves those particular problems, that bill, or the Midnight Basketball League Training and Partnership Act, is going to sit. But to our understanding, what they're trying to do is they're trying to attach this on to another bill. So what we're saying is that the Congress, the House, and the Congress, and the President supports Midnight Basketball League, and it's just a matter of finding where they can attach this bill to. This funding is going to come down, and everyone will be eligible to apply for this type of funding. Also, when we start talking about legislation and talking about money, we have in the House with us a person who works closely with Secretary Kemp as well as the President. He's a special assistant to Secretary Kemp, who is the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I'm going to have him come up and say some words about grant availability and what's happening within HUD. We have Jose Marcus.
Thanks a lot to everybody for, first of all, for being here and for allowing me a few minutes to talk about some of the issues that we're seeing and maybe give you a perspective of what we're doing nationwide and where we can maybe assist the league and how we can work together. First of all, Mary Jane, who will be taking notes while I speak. And I'm sure after this, will be telling me he forgot to say this. So I just want to mention that my first association with Mr. Jennifer was when I was working at the Office of National Drug Policy at the White House, where I worked for Judge Reggie Walton and Dr. Bennett for a year. At that time, we were looking at putting together the National Drug Strategy. One of my frustrations at that time was that I knew there were a lot of issues that were not going to be covered by that strategy, specifically issues like the ones that you guys deal with every day, which is those young people that are not in constituency, they may not vote, they may be out of school, they have a lot of problems in the criminal justice system, and no one is speaking for them. So in 1990, as a result of the White House drug conference that I had been involved in putting together, I talked to Secretary Kemp, and he said, I hear you're frustrated and you want
to go towards youth programs. Will you come over here and participate in that whole work? So that's when I decided to go over to HUD and work with Secretary Kemp. Basically what we have done is we have put out on the street $15.75 million in youth sports program money. That's the office, that's what I'm primarily responsible for. I also am involved as a special assistant to the Secretary in the drug elimination program. This year it's $140 million that goes to public and Indian housing And that money is for drug elimination activities. Again, that's part of the Cranston-Gonzalez HUD bill under the drug elimination program, but it is also can be used for youth programs. And so we basically have two pots of money that HUD has out